What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to a new review. Today we are checking out a super affordable and super small action camera called the Firefly Micro. So you can buy this camera for about $25, and for that price we get a camera that weighs only 14 grams and a camera that can record in 720p and 1080p at 30 frames per second. Since this is a pretty cheap camera, it kind of looks and feels cheap as well. So the camera is entirely made out of plastic. On one side we see the Firefly logo, at the front we have the lens, at the top we have a couple of buttons. One of them is the power button, the other one is the mode button, and the power button is also the recording button. And on the other side we have the slot for the SD card, and I was able to use a 32 gig SD card with this camera. And of course we have the data and the charging port next to that SD card slot. Since this camera is so small and so light, a lot of people are gonna be using this as a FPV camera for quadcopters or RC cars, but you can always mount this on a bicycle, you can mount this on your helmet and so on. And since this is so small, you can basically take it to do anywhere. So that's the beauty of having such a small camera. In the box we get the small user manual that's in English, but it does have a lot of information inside. We also get the charging cable and we get a mounting bracket for the camera, because otherwise it would be impossible to mount this camera anywhere. So you can use that bracket to mount the camera, as I said, pretty much anywhere. And lastly, inside this small camera we have a 200 mAh battery that can keep the camera going for around 40 to 45 minutes. I guess it really depends how you use the camera. And next we're gonna check out some recordings that I've done during the day with this little camera. Now keep in mind the price of the camera, because this is only $25, so you can't exactly expect that much from those recordings. Of course the camera doesn't have any type of image stabilization and so on. So let's check those out. This is a super quick microphone test with this new super small action camera that I'm trying out. So I'm currently recording in 1080p. I'm holding the camera in my hand, and it's about, I don't know, 20 centimeters away from my mouth, so not that far, and it's not that windy, so you should only be able to hear my voice if this records sound. I'm not sure if it records sound at this point. For our second and last microphone test, once again I'm holding the camera in my hand and I'm talking in front of the camera. Now it is a bit more windy this time, but yeah, other than that you should only be able to hear my voice, and I guess we can see if the sound is actually synced with the video, because with a lot of these cheaper action cameras the sound it's not usually synced to the video. So this is how this camera sounds. Now we have a very quick test so you can see how the camera does whenever you're walking normally. So I'm just holding the camera in my hand. I'm imagining that most people would hold this camera in their hands as well. So without image stabilization, of course, the footage is gonna be a bit shaky, but you can't really expect that much from something this cheap. And as you've seen for yourself, those 1080p recordings don't look that amazing, but realistically I wasn't expecting much, and mostly considering the price of the camera I can't really say anything about those recordings. I guess they're as good as we can possibly get for the price. Now if you're gonna record anything at night, well, you're probably better off if you don't record anything at night, because the footage just looks absolutely horrible. And here are a couple of clips for some nighttime recordings. Great stuff. And as you've seen, those nighttime recordings aren't exactly great, but again, for the price you can't really say anything about them. So there you have it. This is the Firefly Micro action camera. So aside from using this as an FPV camera, I don't exactly see too many people buying this to film out on their adventures or anything like that, because the quality isn't that amazing. but for the price, once again, what could we possibly expect? Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.